This is now the game in college lacrosse. And Klockner Stadium bursting with anticipation. Maryland and Virginia have combined to win the last 3 national championships, 4 of the last 5. The road to a title goes through either College Park, Charlottesville, or both. And with that, we say good afternoon. Windy, a little brisk at Klockner and Ishroff. Paul Carcaterra. Boy, you're looking at 2 programs that are the Tigris and the Euphrates of the sport. Behind us, that's the Fertile Crescent. It's the best talent, it's the best coaches, teams that have a culture in place, and championship pedigree.
Look, these 2 teams unequivocally are the standard in college lacrosse. Everyone is chasing Maryland and Virginia. In college football, you have Alabama and Georgia. This is a lacrosse version, and the beauty of this, Anisha, is we get it in the regular season every single year.
Virginia right now comes into this game as the #1 team in the country, 6-0. They are as dominant as Maryland was a season ago through 6 games.
Yeah, they got a 1-2 punch with Connor Schellenberger and Xander Dixon. Schellenberger is the best facilitator in college lacrosse, leads the nation in assists. He's got a 6th sense for where his teammate Dixon is at all times. He trusts number 10 for the Cavaliers because of his hands and his finishing ability. Xander Dixon is shooting 61% on the season.
Dixon leads the team in goals. Schellenberger leading Division I in assists. But Maryland packed a little kryptonite in that Samsonite.
Absolutely. Brett Makar, he wears the prestigious #1 jersey for the Terps. He's the heartbeat of the team and the traffic cop for Maryland. Ajax Zapatello is a technician, and he shut down Schellenberger last time when they played in the quarterfinals in May. And then Luke Weirman. You think of Petey LaSalle as an all-time great for Virginia at the face-off dot. Weirman has dominated him the last 2 matchups.
Weirman last year against Virginia, 68% in 2 games, had 3 assists as well. Virginia beat Maryland in a controversial 2019 quarterfinal en route to a championship. The Cavaliers beat Maryland by a goal in the 2021 final. Maryland blowtorched Virginia in 2 games last year, in the regular season by 11, in the postseason by 9. And Petey LaSalle wins the opening faceoff, exits clean, feeds the wing, and too high for Schellenberger. An early turnover. Petey LaSalle celebrating his 23rd birthday today.
Happy birthday, Petey. We'll hear from him at halftime when I sat down with him in the latest with Relaxing with Pete Kark. And I'll tell you, Petey LaSalle, what he's different in terms of his faceoff ability, it's not just winning the draw, but what he does offensively.
Maryland gives it right back as Daniel Maltz could not keep it in bounds. And Virginia will go to work. The Terps have a different team than last year. They lost 5 of their top 6 on offense, 4 to graduation, 1 Eric Molliver to a season-ending injury, and a new look in goal as well. Logan McNaney, who was the most outstanding player of the NCAA tournament last year, he tore his ACL earlier this year, so it's the true freshman Brian Ruppel making his 4th start.
Yeah, Ruppel is a big-time high school recruit.
Here's Griffin Schutz all the way to the cage, and Ruppel standing his ground on the doorstep.
But what you lose with McNaney is a championship pedigree, and he's so cool and calm under pressure. I got an opportunity to talk to him pre-game when he was on the bench just hanging out, and he's anxious to get back with his team. He's got 2 years of eligibility.
Maryland breaks the ride. Ajax Zapatello across the midfield line. Terps still trying to get into their offense. Kastner hounding Zapatello, who's looking for some help. Kastner jars it loose. And a timeout called before the ball was knocked out by John Tillman.
There's a look at Logan. You mentioned the ACL, the national championship tournament MVP a season ago when the Terps went undefeated. I thought that was a great timeout by John Tillman. But it's on the attack to really help out Zapatello. He's getting hounded by Cole Kastner, who they use in the ride quite a bit because he's 6'7". He just drapes all over you. But it's the inexperience of Maryland in some key spots. Like if you're an offensive player there, help the defender out who's under pressure.
Maryland this season ago, undefeated, national champion, a team for the ages, really one of the most dominant teams that we've seen. And you know, while it's still early and there's a lot of lacrosse left, it's only mid-March, you know, Virginia is a team where they're trending on an all-time path right now. Welcome to Klockner Stadium. Those of you just joining us, we are just underway. Virginia and Maryland and Ishraf Polkar-Katera. This has now become the game, the matchup, the must-see in college lacrosse.
And I love the fact that we get in the regular season, right? A lot of other sports, you have to wait till the championship weekend for two monsters in the game to tilt off against each other. But for me, there's so much between these two teams. You have, for the last 5 national championship teams, come from Maryland or Virginia, but also it's the style of play. You look at the offenses the last couple of years, they're putting up historic numbers. When you think of Maryland in the undefeated run in 2022, Virginia is actually outdoing them right now.
Virginia's averaging 20 goals a game. This has been their dynamic duo.
Yeah, Connor Schellenberger is the best quarterback in all of college lacrosse because of the way he distributes the ball. He's so unselfish, never chasing points, always looking to get teammates involved. And Xander Dixon has been Johnny on the spot. He shoots 61% on the season. You get over 40%, you're doing good work. 61% is crazy, and there's a trust between those two, between passer and finisher.
Unselfish team, they move the ball like it's set to Mozart. Maryland, though, brings a little kryptonite and it's Samsonite. Last year, they found an answer for Virginia. 2 dominant blowout wins for Maryland against the Terps a season ago. Terps have it on offense, their first real go. Here's the freshman, Braden Erksa. 4 goals last time out against Albany. Pressed into the starting lineup a few games into the season.
He's got huge upside. 10 in red, can fly. Watch his first step.
That's Chorus. He was a second midfielder last year. Now Kyle Long. They look to him to initiate from the midfield. He'll flip it up top. Bounce shot and a score by Daniel Kelly. And started with Long, and Kelly tallies his 14th of the season.
The Terps lose 5 of their top 6 scorers from a year ago. The one guy back, that's Kyle Long, and he's also the top passer statistically on this Maryland team. Played attack in high school, very comfortable behind the cage for a midfielder, and you see the head up and the vision. And Kelly is playing in Logan Wisnaskis' spot from a year ago, who won the Tuorton title. In terms of the best player in college lacrosse, he's the left-handed, big-time shooter. And he shows some versatility in his shooting there with that high bouncer that will give goalies fits.
Petey LaSala now 2 for 2 at the face-off X, wins it, dumps it back to Jeff Connor. He's matched up on Weirman. Connor runs by him. Weirman will run off. Connor looking for Xander Dixon, and that's 2 errant passes off unsettled face-off wins for Virginia, resulting in turnovers.
Yeah, the good news is Petey LaSala seems like he's getting into a rhythm against Luke Weirman, who's dominated that matchup the last 2 games. The bad news is they're turning the ball over, and they're not taking advantage of those LaSala wins, because Luke Weirman, when he gets into a rhythm, he can play keep away from a team for big stretches, so you have to capitalize if you're Virginia on those face-off wins.
Weirman dominated LaSala in the 2 meetings last year. This Maryland team, they've got 2 losses, which is more than they had the previous 2 seasons. A surprising one to Loyola, and fell by a goal to Notre Dame. But still a very dangerous team. Offense still a work in progress. Defensively, they're as sound as you'll find. Here's Eric Spanos. Finding Maltz, who was a backup attackman last year. Scored 40 goals 2 years ago, and he beats Matthew Nunes. And right now, Nunes' play, the last 2 games, the beginning of this one, it's got to be a concern for Virginia.
I did the Hopkins game 2 weeks ago at Homewood Field in Baltimore. He went 2 quarters without a save. But credit Danny Maltz in the story in terms of his journey. scores over 30 goals in 2021 as a starter. Reserve role because of the depth the Terps had on offense a year ago. Now he's back into the mix. The leading goal scorer. And the book on him is he's an inside crease guy, but I think he's very underrated as a dodger off of ball movement. If the ball is spinning, Maltz can make that kind of drift move from behind the cage and capitalize with a low angle.
Now the defending champs with a strong opening statement. LaSala falls down, wins the faceoff, draws the flag.
This
Here
is where
comes
he's
Petey on
dangerous.
offense, the birthday boy today. Turned at 23. Peyton Cormier, 24 in white, returning to the Virginia lineup. He had missed the last few games with a lower extremity injury.
Virginia does this better than anyone. They keep LaSala on the field because of his offensive ability. He traps a face-off specialist in Weirman to play defense. Look for him to get in a two-man game and a lot of pick action behind the cage.
Maryland's got 7 players on the defensive side of the field in front of its goalie. Another flag down. Here comes Schellenberger against Zappitello, looking for a cross-crease pass. It hits the deck, and it's picked up by Colin Burlace. We'll get the penalties. One will be an offsides, and it looked like LaSala was pushed near midfield.
Stay with us, 18. You're going to serve the second one.
Bad idea. If you're offsides, though, you might as well keep playing with 7.
Absolutely, especially when you're playing against Virginia.
52 red, 1 minute with the trip. 18 red, offsides, too many men.
So there's 2 penalties right now. We're not getting the audio from the ref, but it looks like there was a trip on LaSala, and that's Weirman, 52 in red in the box. Then there was an offside, so there's 2 different penalties. This is 6-on-4. They called him for a trip right there. Then there's the offsides. This is a Virginia extra man unit that is downright frightening. 69% on the season.
Nice.
It's incredible. So to play against them 6-on-5 is one thing, 6-on-4, because they have a little bit of everything. You have Garno on the outside as a shooter, the passer in Schellenberger, and we know about the inside guys and Xander Dixon and Peyton Cormier. They check every box.
Here comes Schellenberger. Up top, McConvey. Garno with a hammer. Maryland, I think, will live with Garno taking that shot from the outside versus Dixon or Cormier on the inside. Garno again, over to McConvey. Now Schellenberger coming off a 10-point game. Shuts, save Rupel, used the body. Zappitello picks it up. Now can Maryland clear? Remember, they're down 2. That's off the stick of Geppert, out of bounds, back to Virginia.
It's a dicey pass right there. I think in a situation like that, Anish, worst comes to worst, just cheap it to the opposite side.
6-on-4 now becomes 6-on-5. Right in on the doorstep again, and Maryland able to come away with it.
Rupel looks comfortable.
He does. Remember, this was a guy who made his debut against Princeton. Princeton was a championship weekend team a season ago and played well in that game against the Tigers, 14 out of 19.
So you have the length of the Virginia defense. If you're Braden Erksa behind the cage, we talked about him being a speed dodger. You don't want to get into the body of a Cade Sawstead. You want to play on the perimeter, use your quickness in your first step. These guys are too long and will eat you alive if you get in the body.
Here comes Erksa. Picked up by Sawstead. You see the respect Virginia has for him. Now it's Brennan against the shorty. Zinn turns, fires, scores. The defending champs up 3-zip.
It's 2 high bouncers now. We saw Kelly use the earth. And that time, Brennan.
And before the game, talking to Maryland assistant Jake Bernhardt, he was mentioning to me that, yeah, while this used to be an old ACC rivalry, Terps haven't played on this field in 2013. One of the things the players were testing out, what kind of bounce can you get on this Klockner field? We've been here enough to know this field gives you a little bounce.
It does, and you saw Nunes. He bites low, and then the ball goes high. Jack Brennan using the earth. You know, you lose a lot of the offensive punch from a season ago, but there was a lot of complementary players like Brennan who know how to play in big games.
Weirman wins this to himself. Accelerates ahead on the doorstep. Erks a good look, pushes it wide. I guess they'll say that was a pass or that was touched by Virginia.
Erks is a good story too, 10 in red. Under the radar recruit, not even in the top 100 inside lacrosse recruits for his class.
Kyle long shot, first save by Nunes. It comes back to Maryland, a new 60. Here comes Chorus down the alley. Long on the invert, over to Brennan. Brennan was a first-line midfielder in 2020, had some injuries. Back on that first line now. Maltz and Kelly playing catch. Still plenty of time to shoot. Erks has got some sizzle, feet inside. Chorus off the side of the net. Nunes will dig it out. Great pass though, and Maryland getting some strong looks.
Yeah, how do you beat the length and the one-on-one coverage ability of Virginia on defense? Well, crisp passing. The ball's like hot potato right there. Guys like Danny Maltz and Erksa. It's a catch, a look, and a feed.
Sun-spangled Saturday, great crowd here at Klockner. The grassy knoll across from us that you see on your screen.
This is the best.
Filling up. And Virginia now 0 for 5 shooting. That was probably their best look.
You think of college lacrosse venues, this is what it's all about, right? 5,000 people, seems like a rock concert. No football lines.
Against Zappatello. Zappatello held Schellenberger to a double Bodos in the quarterfinals last year. First time Schellenberger had been shut out.
Did you get your bagel this morning?
I did.
How was it?
It wasn't from Bodos. Here's Connor. Good look, high crank McConvey. And the Virginia crowd comes to its feet. A Cavaliers team that has been blitzing opponents early all season. Not today. They finally get one with 7:08.
This is the guy that I think can tilt a game. Everyone knows about Schellenberger and Dixon and Cormier. Thomas McConvey, the grad transfer from Vermont, 61 goals a season ago, led all midfielders in college lacrosse. Now he's got a short stick on Manish. It's almost unfair, but it's his shooting ability. The quick release, it just stings it past the freshman Rupel. Thomas McConvey, talent-wise, is first-team All-American caliber. And you put him in on offense with all these guys, it's scary.
He gets short sticks sometimes.
Yeah, he does. If you put the long stick, you got 4 of them, you put one on Griffin Schutz. McConvey dances, and imagine when Schutz gets a shorty on him.
So much talent offensively for Virginia, combined with experience. That's why you get 20-plus goals per game. They're chasing that 90 Syracuse team right now in terms of goals per game. Record is 20.8. Virginia 20.2. Here's LaSala. He's got 33 career goals as a face-off guy. Schellenberger.
There's a 2-man game with LaSala. Not many face-off guys do this behind the cage.
Setting the pick, looking for Dixon cutting inside. Connor retrieves it, still 40 to shoot.
What it also does, too, is it traps Luke Weirman and then forces him to play more defense, and his reps and his wind gets jeopardized.
Flags are blowing. It is a windy day. LaSala against Weirman. Fires.
That's his offhand, too.
It's a lefty shot.
Keep him on, man. The birthday boy. 23 years old, Petey LaSala.
And that ball goes out of bounds, and LaSala gave one quick glance to the sideline. Nobody was subbing in. He's going to stay on.
Yeah, exactly.
Here comes Schellenberger. Zappatello marking him. Schellenberger shoots wide. Cormier's got the backup, 9 to shoot.
And here's the next level of this. Weirman was actually adjacent there, and he's not used to playing team defense. That gave Schellenberger a ton of room to operate.
There's Cormier, the Canadian, fires low, shot blocked. Cormier and Burles go down, and it'll be a shot clock violation. The ball never hit the goalie, Rupel. It's a lot of mass hitting the ground.
Virginia loves the ride. Lars Tiffany thought the Towson game last week that you called was the first time they really amped it up from the ride standpoint.
And the ride for Virginia creates a turnover. Here's Zinn. He can fly. Evan Zinn over to Cormier. Schellenberger from the wing. Rupel falling down, makes the save. Big ground ball, and it comes to Maryland. It's Brett Makar wearing the #1 jersey for the Terps. The most honorable distinction for a Maryland player, and it's gone to a defensive player.
Yeah, it's always been an offensive player since that number really was made famous in the 90s. Went from Andrew Whipple to Joe Walters.
Grant Catalino,
yeah, Grant Catalino.
Matt Rambo wore it. Jared Bernhardt wore it. Logan Wisnauskas wore it.
Connor Kelly. But he's the right guy to wear it. He's the heartbeat of this team. Emotional leader, Makar.
Fifth-year senior out of your hometown of Yorktown. There's Spanos. Sophomore out of Pennsylvania. Zach Whittier now, part of the second midfield. Behind the cage, Urksa. Freshman out of Marietta, Georgia, marked by the fifth-year senior, Cade Sawstead. Spanos has the short stick, Soliday. Shot clock down to 6. Down to 5, Spanos. Doubled, well-timed, Kastner jars it loose.
Incredible defense. Grayson Soliday stands up Spanos. Soliday is 10 months removed from an ACL. See the strength of the captain, 32 in white, and the time double of Project 39, Cole Kastner.
Soliday tore his ACL in the quarterfinal against Maryland and flashed some Wolverine-like healing abilities.
Unbelievable. No brace, nothing.
Here comes Garno. You mentioned this a few games ago. If Peter Garno can hit the cage, he could be at 30%. Boy, it gives Virginia a dangerous weapon. Ricky Miezon, 50 in white, has a chance to be dangerous. The former Stanford linebacker, Stanford captain, and one-time #1 recruit in college lacrosse. Truett Sunderland, the freshman. Zappatello has kept Schellenberger in check. Miezon against Donovan Lacey. Using the body. Miezon feeding Sunderland, a good idea. Pass goes awry. Zappatello picks it.
That is a great pass by Ricky. Truett Sunderland, 3 in white. He's got to handle that.
Sunderland, the #2 incoming recruit behind Syracuse's Joey Spallina. Now these Maryland short sticks have their work cut out for them today, and it's a unit that has seen wholesale changeover from last year.
They have indeed. They were 4 deep a year ago. Guys like Rowan Puglisi and Bubba Fairman leading the troops. So it's almost an entirely new group, but the athleticism and the strength of that group, I think once they get into a groove, can be super formidable.
Urksa dancing behind the cage. Nunes coming out in the cat and mouse game. Nunes delivering the check. John Tillman wanted a flag. Sawstead trying to get into the hands of Urksa. Now Jack Corus against Noah Chismar. Back to Maltz, had a great look and just missed.
If I'm Braden Urksa, I'm not getting into the body of Cade Sawstead. This is the strength and the length there. Use the perimeter, be a speed dodger.
Brennan against Zinn, shot clock down to 5, low shot, saved by Nunes. His second after allowing 3 straight.
Like Brennan there was a little uncertain if he wanted to shoot or not.
Now, Maryland's game plan today, how do you fight Tyson? Well, first you got to last, and they've gotten that first part. They said the way Virginia's come out, the Cavaliers try to deliver the knockout punch early. It's no secret. Maryland wants to make this a marathon, make it a 12-15 round fight. On the doorstep, and Cormier misses.
But the confidence is there. The last 2 times they played this team, they blew them out. And there's a lot of the same cast of characters, the Zapatellos, the Makars, the Brennans. The guys have been there before. They've tasted big victories against the Cavaliers. So from a confidence perspective, Maryland knows they belong on this field.
Final 40 seconds of the opening quarter. Here's McConvey. He has the lone Virginia goal, the Vermont transfer who scored 60 goals last year. Now Sunderland, the freshman. Rupel out of the cage. 10 to shoot. Here's Connor, snakes around, stops, turns, fires wide, and only 2 on the shot clock. They're going to have to dump this in the corner. Virginia shooting 1 for 11 in the opening quarter, a team that came in shooting 41% on the season, tops in the nation. Rupel sends it way down and over the goal. The first quarter comes to an end. Virginia down by 2, the #1 team in the country, got ambushed early by the defending champion Maryland Terrapins. The Terps scored the first 3 before Virginia got on board. The first game after McNaney.
Both of these squads, we talked about John Tillman just kind of changing the way that he coaches over the years and allowing the game. So, it's 5 and
Evans
confused by the score. I mean, both teams are getting
season
for their last
different
in terms of the speed and pace of the ball movement. It is so hard to defend when the ball moves so fast like it did for Maryland last year and Virginia this year. In terms of your team defense and your communication, you're always out of sorts when you play a team like Virginia or Maryland.
Terps lead 3-1, 3 different goal scorers for Maryland.
Both teams getting their shots. Maryland started this contest 3 for 3, but 0 for their last 5, and the Cavaliers only 1 for 11.
Intercepted by Sawstead. Evans in, the Johns Hopkins transfer in his 2nd season with Virginia.
Fastest guy on the team. Fast-paced game, too. Don't be confused by the score. I mean, both teams are getting plenty of shots. There's been some turnovers, too. 10 turnovers in the game. So both of these squads, we talked about John Tillman just kind of changing the way that he coaches over the years and allowing his teams to play at a high pace.
Schellenberger to Dixon. And in the crease.
I think it was Griffin Schutz when he went behind the cage. Rupel's seeing the ball, though.
Tell you what, you lose a guy like Logan McNaney. The first game after McNaney tore his ACL against Loyola, Teddy Dolan got the start. That was against Syracuse. Dolan, a grad transfer from Binghamton, as that shot hits the cage. It'll reset the shot clock, but it's Virginia ball. That's how you beat a 10-man ride. If the goalie's out, if you can make that, you make them pay. And John Tillman had to make the move to say, you know, we're going to go with the freshman over a guy like Dolan who started a lot of games. He said Teddy Dolan took it really well. And Rupel has stabilized this position. Both these teams, again, have stacked elite recruiting classes on top of elite recruiting classes. We may not know the names because they haven't seen the field. There's a lot of talent up and down both of these rosters.
What also tells you about John Tillman's ability to recruit goalies. And he was a goalie as a player, so he understands the position. He recruits it like a college football coach would with a quarterback, right? You have to have depth.
You think of the goalies he's had: Nico Amato, Kyle Bernlohr, Dan Morris, McNaney. Pretty good lineage. Dixon to McConvey. That's a save by Rupel, his 4th. It will stay with Virginia. Shot clock resets to 60, closest to the ball when it goes out. Awarded possession on a shot.
He's not just making saves, but he's making some difficult ones. I mean, McConvey put that ball offside hip. You saw the quick reaction of Ruppel, the true freshman.
Out of Catonsville, Maryland. Dixon, the team leader in goals. Schellenberger, the national leader in assists. Trying to use the pick. Zappitello stays with him. Looking for a cutting Dixon. McConvey had it for a moment, knocked into the air, and it's red for Virginia.
Yeah, Red's one of those new short stick defensive midfielders. He was a long stick in terms of his recruitment, his first couple years in College Park, and now you have guys like him and Donovan Lacey and Dante Trader, who was a starter on the Maryland football team as a defensive back. I was watching him in the pregame warm-ups. I mean, the drills and the hips and the feet that he has, 5 in red, man, he'll lock you down.
How many times have you equated an elite short stick D-midi to a corner or a DB?
Absolutely. It's not just the movements, it's also...
Urksa beats his man who gambled, lost it near the crease, and Nunes clamps down.
It's also schematically how they're attacked, right? Like, everyone goes to the outside in football when there's one-on-one coverage, right? With a corner and a wide receiver. You got to bring safety help. Well, when you're a short stick defensive midfielder, everyone's dodging you, so you need to bring early slides. But if you're elite, you don't have to bring the slide. You can be creative defensively.
Dante Trader was a starting safety from Maryland this year. Virginia averaging on the season 8 goals per game in the first half. Today, just 1 on 12 shots. Here's Patrick McIntosh. He had a 6-goal game against Hopkins. Now Ricky Miezon. Miezon fires a bouncer with his momentum going away. That's a fadeaway from what, 12 yards?
Yeah, it looks like
and he
Romar
almost got
Dennis,
it.
right? Romar Dennis in the PLL 6s.
Oh my.
Fadeaway 2-ball.
Here's Miezon again. Tough matchup for any short stick. Donovan Lacey, grad transfer out of Sacred Heart, trying to stay with him. Cormier finds the back of the net off the feed for Miezon.
Ricky's dealing, man. That's his second big-time pass. The first one in the first quarter that Truett Sunderland did not capitalize on, but this time you show some versatility. You get Maryland now pressing. You're a force from the outside, so now everyone needs to help on Ricky. When you help, how do you counter? With a beautiful pass to Cormier, who's Mr. Automatic. But that is a big-time recognition type play by Ricky Miezon. And the reason that feed was available, Anish, is because the prior play, him stretching the defense as a shooter, you saw how quick they were to slide.
Well, again, when you're fading away from that distance and you almost score on a bounce shot, you get everybody's attention. Virginia's won the majority of faceoffs, but nobody has scored directly off a faceoff win. And how about this battle? Weirman and Petey, it's punched ahead. Now the ensemble cast gets involved. Chismar had it through the contact, tornadoing out of trouble. And Lars Tiffany and Virginia able to call a timeout. High fives for the sophomore Noah Chismar. It's a 3-2 game, 9:55 to go in the first half. These are the last 3 national champions going at it on a Saturday in Charlottesville.
Superstar offensive midfielder. In terms of
big-time lacrosse recruits coming out of high school.
Top 5 guys, everyone wanted them. Everyone wanted them.
I did a couple of Maryland football games this year, and John Tillman would send me a text every time we brought up Trader and his lacrosse story, and I said, hey, any chance that he plays for you? And he would give me the fingers crossed emoji. Here comes Schellenberger, still looking for his first point against Maryland. Did not have one in the quarterfinal last year. McConvey drew the double, kicks it back out to Shelley. Schutt's going to work now. Gets free and scores. That is a triceratops going downhill when he gets some momentum.
2 weeks ago at Homewood Field, Griffin Schutz had 4 goals, 2 assists. I thought it was the best midfield performance of the season. You see the absolute speed. Schellenberger right there. That slight little pick, and Schutz really doesn't even use the pick. But the ability to get Maryland thinking that they're going to have to switch, and then the speed of Schutz, as you mentioned, Anish, to go downhill. And what's impressed me about him this season in his sophomore campaign is how much he's also using his left hand. We saw the right hand there, but he will use his left.
So Maryland scored the first 3, Virginia the last 3. Lasala wins the faceoff, lost it. Erks' shot denied. He'll try to chase it down in a sea of white. And we will get a whistle, a timeout called by John Tillman. Both coaches seeing the heightened value of every possession.
Absolutely. I think in the first half, it's okay to burn some of those timeouts on possessions just to get your young group, if you're John Tillman, an opportunity to breathe. There's so many freshmen and sophomores getting time.
Maryland has gone 15 minutes without a goal. 0 for 8 since its last goal with 4 turnovers. Get that? Big Ten and Big Ten top. Ohio State still pretty good.
It's the depth of the league.
Hopkins is better.
All 6 Big Ten teams are ranked. And you mentioned 2 of them that I'd like to talk about just for a second. Penn State, after a really difficult season a year ago, no one was talking about them. They have 3 monster Ivy League wins. They've beaten Yale, they've beaten Cornell, they've beaten Penn. They could be the Ivy champs, Penn State, today against Notre Dame.
And let's be fair with Johns Hopkins. You know, Hopkins has played maybe the most difficult schedule in the country. That has more to do with their record than anything else. Johns Hopkins is vastly improved.
Yes.
Here comes Long, and his pass looked like was altered a little bit. He throws it away.
And the beauty of college lacrosse in February and March, it really can change what happens in May come selection time, because the Ivies were so good last season in February and March at a conference. Now they've struggled at a conference where the ACC has done really well and only had 1 team in the tournament a year ago. That might flip that script.
Well, what happens is you win those non-conference games. Now it gives you margin for error in league play because the perception, the RPI of your league is up. Whereas if the script was flipped like last year, if you're in the ACC, you start losing conference games as Cormier gives Virginia the lead. Well, then those hits, they hit your resume much harder, but right now Virginia using that Cavalanche, 4 straight goals.
He's automatic inside. He grew up outside of Toronto. Father Chris gave him a stick when he was just a young buck. Father was a goalie. They spent tons of time in the backyard with young Peyton shooting on Father Chris and Grandma Barb, who ran the Mimico Youth Lacrosse League as the president for 50 years. She used to call out shots to young Peyton on how to beat her son Chris, who was in the cage. It's a family affair, and Chris makes the journey every week to Charlottesville to see that guy tear it up.
Kark, over the last 2 seasons, he scored 95 goals. He's basically a walking hat trick for his career. He's got 2 today in his first game back from injury. Weirman the other way, bounces it. Erks has got the backup. No! They'll give it to Nunes, closest to the ball when it goes out, and it was Nunes.
Yeah, he's automatic, Peyton. But you look at lacrosse as a family affair, and how cool would that be to see your dad in the cage, right? Grandma's calling out shots, top left, top right. She used to have numbers to designate where the ball should go. And Peyton, when he's inside, you have to account for him because he's essentially never covered. Just catches everything.
Always in the right spot. Here's Miezon going to work on Lacey. Back to Schellenberger. Zappatello's done a nice job on him. Connor now picked up by the short stick Lacey. Connor had 3 goals for Virginia in the quarterfinal loss to Maryland. McIntosh to Miezon. 5 unanswered by Virginia, and this Klockner crowd adds a little extra pep in its step.
Ricky's showing you his stuff. When he decided to come to Virginia this January as a grad transfer, I thought, okay, he's away from the game for a while. This can be rust. You can put him at short stick defensive midfield. Lars Tiffany said no. He's got some offensive talent. We need to just let him take chances. Let him get used to the speed of the game. And you're seeing it. You're seeing the passing, the inside ability, stretching with high bouncers. He's got a little bit of everything today, Anish.
And with his size and his build, you felt it. I mean, we could feel it around us. When he scores, there's a little extra energy on the bench. There's a little more juice when you're playing at home.
But to score like that inside on a one-timer, that just shows you, like, the rust has been knocked off.
Yeah, they wanted to let him play through some mistakes early so they could unlock the full version in April and May. And for both these teams, really, that's the standard now. It's what you do, not in mid-March, but in mid-May. Owen Murphy with a high bouncer. Murphy in the 2 games against Virginia last year, 7 goals. He's a guy where it's been a little up and down to begin the season. There's a lot more there. And if he can get back to being what he was last year, boy, that's another piece for Maryland.
But he's also the recipient of great ball movement, right? Off the ball and being a threat. And I think last year when the ball moved so well and the eyes were on Logan Wisnauskas and so many other great scorers like Keegan Kahn, Murphy would get those step-down shooting opportunities in space, right? Now he's more of a marked man. He's got to adjust.
Evan Zinn using the Amtrak dodge. Crowd loves it.
Yeah, he let Braden Erksa know it too, and I think Erksa might be a little nipped up the way that he's running off the field. Zinn's a 5th-year senior, Erksa a true freshman. Take a look at this left side of the screen. There's Zinn. Yeah, he's just he's just letting him feel it and hear it. 4 of their 5 goals Virginia assisted. I mentioned earlier in the game the way that they can feed the inside and share the rock. That's the story of this offense.
And Schellenberger does not have a single point in this game, and yet Virginia's winning.
And what makes him a superstar is you don't see him chasing points. Like, you never feel like Connor Schellenberger says to himself, oh, I'm not part of the party here. I got to press and do something for myself.
Zappitello has not yielded much to Schellenberger, but that time he found an opening, and the nation's assist leader finds a cutting McConvey. 6 unanswered for Virginia.
You survey, you stay patient, and you strike. It's not there right away. That's good defense by Zappitello. But what makes Schellenberger so elite is he doesn't give up on plays and he trusts his teammates. You see McConvey there as Virginia celebrates. He's losing his angle. But you know when you have a Canadian finisher and goal scorer like that, you just got to get him the rock. And Schellenberger puts it right on his stick.
Thomas McConvey, a 60-goal scorer for Vermont. And, you know, McConvey's got a little extra juice in this game. Think of how his last 2 seasons with Vermont ended, with a first-round loss to Maryland.
He was the marked man. The beauty of a guy like McConvey as a grad transfer, as a midfielder, like, you don't have to hand the keys to the offense to him. He could be a complementary type part. And when you're that good, and you're sometimes the 4th option on an offense, I mean, it's borderline unfair.
Here comes Jack Brennan. Spanos. No Erksa out there after taking that hit. Now Jack Corus has the short stick Chismar. Kastner comes over to help, and Kastner now picks up Corus. And Corus wisely gets rid of it to Long.
Just swallows you up, right? Like, it just looks different when 39's defending.
Kelly got free for a second. Now Brennan trying to get past Sawstead, knocked away. Welcome to Jurassic Park. They have some legitimate velociraptors on defense.
Cole Kastner, I was mentioning, swallows you up at 6'7". Cade Sawstead, 6'5", was an elite wide receiver in high school in the Dallas area. An all-state type player, record breaker at his high school.
Truett Sunderland operating from X. Checked by Brett Makar. Here's Chismar. Got a good look. And the backup to Sunderland. A flag comes in. Two come in now. One from near the sub box.
Yeah, I think they'll get Zappatello on a late hit. 36 in red. Take a look at Sawstead here. The over-the-head check. It's all risk, but the reward is there, and then the late hit by Zappatello. Looked like Chismar might have ran into him a little bit too, but now you got to deal with this Virginia extra man unit almost at 70%.
Almost got one there. Cormier with a rare whiff, and now Makar streaking the other way.
It's like a ball of muscle running up the field with Makar.
Fifth-year senior, bowling ball shouldered out of Yorktown, New York. Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year a season ago, an All-American. That's the great thing about this matchup in recent years. You take a look at just warm-ups and All-American, All-Conference littered all over the field. Last year, Maryland, knowing that in 2019, their loss to Virginia had a bit of an asterisk. That was a controversial quarterfinal game. A pipe goal that was wrongly called. Virginia ends up winning in overtime after being the beneficiary of that call. Cavaliers go on to win a championship, 2021 in the championship. They got Luke Weirman with a shot on cage in the final seconds to tie. Alex Rode makes the body save. Maryland had all the emotion and energy going into last year. And Lars Tiffany knew his team could not match that. Matthew Nunes could not match that from Spanos. And Maryland ends the long scoring drought after 6 straight Virginia goals to close within 2.
I think Eric Spanos has a lot of upside. I watched him in high school, and he's got the long arms and the wingspan. I've seen him use his right hand quite a bit, and this time driving up the left side with low angle. And the jump shot, I think, throws Nunes off a little bit, too. I think that is a well-timed jumper by Spanos because he's not in the body there. And the jump shot actually gives him more leverage, increases his angle. And Nunes can't track that one against a big boy in Spanos.
5th of the season for Spanos. It ends a 22.5-minute scoring drought. Loose ball push without possession. So it goes to Maryland. A chance to get within 1. Lacey moves it ahead to Kelly. Daniel Kelly waited his turn on the bench for a couple of years. Now starting on attack.
I think the Spanos dodge was big, though, because you got to ask yourself, for this Maryland offense, who can win their matchups? You know Kyle Long can. Jack Brennan has showed you, but for Spanos to be that next level in terms of a dodging presence, they need that. They have the finishers.
Urksa getting devoured by Sawstead, who knocks it loose. That's been a tough matchup for the freshman. Chismar emerges with it.
What did I tell you about Urksa, though? Don't get into the body with Cade Sawstead. You got to play in space. You get into the body, you're going to get eaten up.
Punt return clear by Chismar, and now Virginia sets up its offense. Final 90 seconds of the first half. Maryland started on a 3-0 run, then 6 straight by Virginia. Schellenberger's shot saved by Ruppel, his 6th. It'll stay with Virginia, new shot clock. So about a 24-second differential between game clock and shot clock. Wind starting to pick up again here at Klockner. Dixon turns the corner, missed the cage. Schellenberger is there to back up.
Don't you love this scene, though? I mean, this is perfect.
As
for
good as it
college
gets.
lacrosse. Yes, this is a perfect size venue, a perfect day. Thank you.
Schellenberger feeding the crease. Loose ball, Sunderland has it. And a timeout is called by Lars Tiffany. 31 on the shot clock, 55 seconds to go in the half. Let's go back to 2021 National Championship game. Maryland entered that game undefeated. Jared Bernhardt, the Tuarton Trophy winner. Terps controlled that game until about midway through the fourth quarter. Connor Schellenberger was sensational. Matt Moore had, what, 4 goals in that game? And then Maryland made its comeback.
They made their comeback, but what made Maryland so good in 2022 is they're shooting Virginia as Weirman almost tied it up in the final seconds of that game. But I think when you think of the two offenses that we've talked so much about in the last 2 years, the shooting proficiency of both of those teams, just automatic type finishers.
Part of it is personnel. You know, Virginia Bernhardt programs.
Leading goal scorer from the leading point scorer from.
It's what has made this game now, you know, the circle this game on your calendar type of event in college lacrosse. At halftime, you had a chance to catch up with Petey LaSala. He's got a great story.
Oh, the birthday boy. Yep, son of a New York City police officer who instilled toughness and grit in him. 23 years old today, Petey LaSala. Mr. Clutch at the dot for the Virginia Cavaliers.
Cormier's pass over the head of Schutz, picked up by Zappitello. Maryland turns it over. Final 30 seconds. Off the scramble, Dixon takes a hit from Zappitello. And we'll get a push without possession. Schellenberger's pass almost intercepted. Rare lazy throw by Schellenberger, and here's Maryland. Geppert, one last chance. 15 seconds. Here comes Kelly toward the cage. Nunes denied the angle. There's a flag down as Kelly was driving on Matsui.
I think Matsui, they might get him with a push. And this is big for Maryland because they can hold it.
Yeah, at the other end, I was a little surprised they called a push, but without possession. And it looked like there might have been possession.
Absolutely. Now Maryland, that force by Kelly with 7 seconds left. Yep, so push on Matsui. 30 seconds for the technical foul. They'll hold the ball so they don't have to have a face-off at the beginning of the third quarter. So the Terps will be up for 23 seconds starting the third quarter. I like Virginia here. They're gonna push a little bit though, and press to try to dislodge the ball.
If you dislodge the ball and there is no possession, then you do face off.
Right away finds man, and if you're defending it, like where
Great
in terms of their prep and the way that they.
Petey LaSala wins the faceoff through traffic, dislodged, and it comes to Geppert.
We've seen that 3 times in this game where Petey wins the faceoff, but Maryland wins the possession.
Yeah, so
negates it.
Negates it completely. Turnovers now a dozen for Virginia. Maryland had 9 in the first half. And a lot of it, you got to credit the defense and the rides. And that time, you saw what Maryland was able to do after LaSala won the faceoff. Some of these, yeah, unforced turnovers. Some of them, it's guys like Makar and Zappitello and Sawstead getting in your business. Here comes Brennan down the alley, shoots low, hit the cage. Chismar had it, flag down.
That's going to be a push on Maryland for 30 seconds. But Anish, you bring up a great point with the face-off and not winning the possession after the face-off is won. Teams now are getting so smart. It'll be 30 seconds.
Push! 30 seconds.
That's on the freshman Urksa. Teams are so established in terms of their prep and the way that they coach throughout the course of the week that there's so many defenses and adjustments that are made after teams win the face-off so they can counter with a possession win.
Our friends at Lacrosse Reference do a nice job, tracking true face-off win percentage. One of those stats that needs to go mainstream.
Oh, yes.
Shuts over to Schellenberger to the wing. McConvey, great look. Almost had his third.
So you look at this extra man, and if you're defending it, like where do you prioritize?
Pray. Schellenberger, that's a good look, too high. And Schutz will trigger.
I think you mentioned earlier, you really got to protect the paint in the inside, but Virginia, as you're seeing right now with McConvey and Schellenberger and Garno, they'll stretch you too.
McConvey over to Garno. Schutz on the doorstep. Cormier slam dunk. We called him a walking hat trick. First game back from an injury. He's got 3 goals today.
Don't take him for granted. I know Patrick McIntosh was 6 for 7 in his first start at Homewood a couple weeks ago when Cormier was on the bench with an injury. But Griffin Schutz with a tremendous cross-crease pass. Those are 2 skip passes that really broke the defense down of Maryland. It was McConvey to the backside to Garno, and then Garno right away finds Griffin Schutz with a beautiful pass to Cormier. And what Cormier does and shows you in that last goal, the ball only needs to be in his stick for a fraction of a second. There's not even a cradle there.
A face-off violation against Virginia, first of the half. 6 assisted goals for Virginia. They come into the game averaging 13 assists per game. If they keep that up, that would be a Division I single-season team record.
And it's not just the type of passes. Like 2 of those 3 passes that led to the goal were skip passes. Those break a defense down.
Here comes Long. Bouncer offline. What's the adjustment Urksa needs to make on Sawstead? Well, that time he used the pick.
I think he needs to play in space. Watching the tape on the freshman, he's a speedster with a really quick first step. Don't get into the body of Cade Sawstead, who's 6'5". He will devour you, but Urksa has the speed to play in space.
Here comes Long. He's got speed. Crossfield pass to Kelly against Matsui. Urksa again gets around Sawstead and scores! He joysticked right past the 50-year senior.
Don't let him touch you, Anish. You saw the quick first step. Watching him this week on tape, I was so impressed with his explosive ability, his footwork. And then I went back to his high school days and watching him on tape. As a Scholastic player, he was tooling on defenders with speed and quickness. That time, he never lets Cade Sawstead touch him. If he goes into the body there, Cade Sawstead keeps him below goal line extended.
He found what you said, a little bit of space, used the separation, and used his speed at 7'6". That's going to be a loose ball hold against Virginia. Maryland ball, a chance to tie.
You know what I was seeing from Urksa too, when I was watching his high school tape, and this is crazy, I'm not making the comparison, but he was getting underneath defenders with a speed dodge a lot like Jared Bernhardt did. And this is not comparing, saying he's the next Jared Bernhardt, but I saw some flashes there.
In 2021, Bernhardt had the uncanny ability with his speed. He would isolate a defender, everybody would clear out. And we saw him dust some of the best defenders in the country. Nunes the saves on Murphy.
You see that release by Murphy, though?
Maryland wins it back. McNeil could not handle the pass.
55 in red. Owen Murphy has a release like Ryan Brown, the Johns Hopkins great who just retired from the PLL.
Wow.
It's just
Yeah,
beautiful to watch.
You're going there, huh?
Yeah, it's just beautiful to watch. You watch him cock it back and in one motion bring it that direct overhand. Now, granted, Brown has about 9 different release points, but the overhand is a lot like I've seen in the past.
Loose ball push on Virginia. It resets the shot clock. Whittier, part of the second midfield, sophomore. Dad played football at Maryland. Now Murphy started the year on attack, now on the second midfield. Feeds the crease, low shot. And Urksa will back up.
He's passing well today, Owen Murphy.
Urksa this time picked up by Kastner. Out of the box comes Chorus. There's Brennan. 2 first-line midfielders on there with Long. Long possession here as well for Maryland offensively.
Watch Nunes. A lot of times when you have a streaking midfielder like Brennan, he's dipping a little bit low. That's why I think those high bouncers are working on him.
Long skips it to the wing. Chorus tried to go upstairs. Shot clock at 5. Long feeding the crease inside. Urksa ties it at 7. The freshman with back-to-back tallies.
All set up by the veteran Kyle Long, who's got a couple of beautiful passes for assists today. Late in the shot clock, Virginia kind of starts to hedge and show a double. You see all the hats, the white helmets, with the attention on Kyle Long. Late in the shot clock, I think you gotta trust the matchup a little bit more. And Long, who's been around the block as the Maryland mosh pit celebrates, knows he sees the slide and the help from Virginia. And Urksa, he's got those last 2 goals. The freshman's feeling it.
Weirman and LaSala doing battle. Weirman wins this one. Maryland with a chance to take the lead. They led 3-0 before Virginia scored 6 in a row. Terps now on a 4-1 run of their own. Weirman chased back by Matsui. He will sub off. Spanos checks in along with Whittier and Murphy. Murphy had 7 goals in 2 games against Virginia last year. Feeding inside, Nunes got a piece of it. It's Zinn off the deflection. 9 saves for the sophomore.
You're feeling that Maryland is more confident feeding the inside, right? Back-to-back possessions.
Here's Zinn all the way! A Thanos goal. I'll do it myself.
When he was at Johns Hopkins, he was an offensive midfielder. Played a little 2-way last year for Lars Tiffany, and Lars Tiffany wants him primarily as a short stick defensive midfielder. As Maryland hits the pipe, could have taken the lead. And then the counter, the speedster, the fastest guy on this field is Evan Zinn. And although he's playing short stick D-mini, he's got the green light in space in the full field because of the speed, the shooting ability, and the awareness to strike against a defense that's not set. That's the beauty, Anish, of the defensive midfielders as Weirman counters it.
We got ourselves a fun one at Klockner. Luke Weirman finding the back of the net. Tied at 8, 8:45 to go.
This is the battle that we talked about. Petey LaSala is known as the goal scorer, 33 goals in his career. Weirman, not so much known as the offensive threat And Virginia decides to let the face-off specialist come down. They're more concerned with the 3 attackers for Maryland and saying, Luke Weirman, we don't respect you as a shooter. Let's see what you got. Well, he cans it.
Here's Connor. Over to Petey LaSala. Can LaSala do it at the other end? Nothing on that shot. And an easy one for Rupel. Now Weirman's going to stay on. He'll try to clear. He does. Ran into trouble, got it to Geppert. Maryland might have a chance unsettled. Shot altered, deflected. It'll stay with Maryland. It was Eric Kolar.
You know, these guys, LaSala and Weirman, I'm just watching them as they come off. Like, how much stamina, how much gas do they have left? Because these are guys that are just facing off. They're staying on, they're shooting, they're playing offense, they're playing defense. Who's got the better wind?
Brennan over to Long. Long gets it back. Still plenty of time to shoot. Chorus works the alley. Now Maltz. Kelly maneuvering on Kastner, got help from Soliday. Maltz to the wing, low to high, too high from Urksa. 14 to shoot. Kelly's got the backup.
Maryland recognized the double in quick ball movement. That's one Urksa's going to want back, that underhand release.
Brennan on the short stick. Shot clock winding down. And now only 4 to shoot as Maltz will trigger.
See the sub game, and John Tillman so smart late in shot clock scenarios. Get the D-middies on, throw the ball to the side, and set up your ride.
What Virginia really has not been able to get into consistently in this game is its transition offense.
Yeah, you saw Zinn with that punt return, but outside of that, you're right, Anish. Haven't seen the end-to-end action, the frenetic pace that they're able to flourish in.
Shots picked up by Jack McDonald. Shots feeding Dixon. Rupel is there to deny the 5-hole. Rupel springs out of the cage.
I like his technique. I like his pause.
Lacey fires on the empty net. Just missed it. And Matsui has the backup for Virginia. Listen, if a team's going to 10-man ride you and you can steal 1 or 2 of those a game, it's worth the gamble. Obviously, the downside is it's essentially a turnover.
Yeah, you want a 10-man, you're going to have those opportunities. But back to Rupel, like, he's so calm, and a lot of young goalies are antsy and they guess. He kind of pauses for a second. And that's a big thing for a young goalie, to pause and really identify the technique of the shooter. And that's what Rupel's able to do.
Look at Miazon, and Rupel eats it up.
See that? There's no guessing in his game.
He mangonels it ahead to Nick Red. Now it's Lacey. He's a short stick D-mid. Maryland getting its offensive personnel on. Here's Spanos. It'll be the second to midfield. Spanos, Whittier, and Owen Murphy.
These guys are so young too. I mean, you're looking at like two sophomores and a freshman, and Whittier actually is a redshirt.
Murphy gives Maryland the lead.
I was mentioning the shooting ability as the boys in red are getting loose of Owen Murphy, a big-time righty goal scorer. Well, this time he goes to the left, and with the wicked overhand release, he gets Matt Nunes guessing. 2 giants in the programs.
Spicy chicken fries with heat. Appetizer, mini meal, a spicy treat. Eat them anytime cause you're royalty. The box fits a sauce that's pretty neat. BK.
The unique build trouble with us.
Nerksa with 2 goals. And it's been an incredible counter-punch by the Terps. The freshman, Braden Nerksa, with 2 goals in this third quarter. 1 unassisted, 1 inside. And Luke Weirman decides to take it himself. Virginia doesn't respect the outside shooting ability. And then Owen Murphy senses Matt Nunes, the goalie, kind of on his heels there. This is a Terp team behind John Tillman that's always in every single game. Outside of Loyola, like the last 4 years, they've never been blown out. They're always countering. They're always adjusting.
And that's what Lars Tiffany told us. We said, do you bring the same energy into this regular season game that Maryland brought last year? Especially considering Virginia was blown out by Maryland twice last season. He said, you know, I'd like to believe we will, but you just don't blow out John Tillman teams. And you look at Virginia's last 2 wins against Maryland, by a goal in overtime in the 19 quarters, by a goal in the 21 championship.
I think what John Tillman does as well as anyone is he adjusts. And I think the adjustment in the third quarter, it's like finding those seams inside. I think they're able to feed the inside. You saw Kyle Long to Braden Nerksa with a beautiful pass. They're catching Virginia, ball watching just a little bit. Like they're looking at the ball carrier as the main dodging threat, the creator of offense, but the pass is able to keep them honest.
And defensively, Ajax Zapatello has done it again against Connor Schellenberger.
What a technician he is. I mean, he's such a sound defender, never out of position with his stick, his hips, his feet. Not a risk taker, but it's the perfect type of defender against Schellenberger as you see these two, because he's not going to be at a spot where Schellenberger counters.
Connor's shot deflected back. Battle between Burles and Connor, rolling toward the sideline, out of bounds to Maryland.
I think a guy like Schellenberger always waits for a defender to take a risk, to take a chance, to be out of position. And Zapatello won't do it.
Schellenberger and Xander Dixon, who we highlighted in the open, a combined 0 for 8. Schellenberger has 1 assist. Dixon without a point.
Cormier with the hat trick. McConvey's come to the party.
Here's Nerksa. He's got 2 here in the second half. Ten and red might hold the key to this offense. Jack Corus curls and scores. And Maryland has a 2-goal lead with 3:24 to go.
Jack Corus gets 2 goals in this third quarter. And we've seen this a couple times where Matt Nunes is beat on the near inside pipe. But there is a confidence in this Maryland offense once again. They get Virginia ball watching. Jack Brennan, he gets everyone thinking he's shooting there. Corus goes behind, finds that pass from Brennan, and sneaks it near pipe on Nunes. And you look at Virginia, the one thing that you could question in terms of the statistics heading into this game 6-0, Matt Nunes has been under 50% on the season. That's the reality.
And the last 2 games, he's been in the low 40s. Weirman wins the faceoff. LaSala jarred it loose. Weirman recovers. We come up on 3 minutes to play in the third. Maryland down 2 at the half, up 2 in the third.
One thing I think Virginia needs to do adjustment-wise, defensively, is trust your matchups a little bit more. I think they're getting caught ball watching. They're sliding a little bit too early. If you look at the perimeter of this Virginia defense, they should be confident in the one-on-one defensive ability.
Here's Murphy. That's stopped. And Nunes able to recover it. I'm not sure Nunes saw it clean off the stick. This is where Nunes excels, in the clearing game. They'll run it across. And that's offsides. That's a mistake.
Gotta have 4 back.
And now Nunes has to retreat to the cage. Spanos thought about it. Chismar guarding him. Spanos dumps it to Urksa. Long snakes, feeds the far side. Urksa dropped it on the ground. Loose ball, sea of white. We get a loose ball push on Virginia. Maryland ball. Shot clock resets to 60. And now the Terps will get to go to work on offense again.
Super impressed with Kyle Long, 23 in red as a passer. He's made some super tight dishes, specifically in the second half.
Here's Chorus looking for the hat trick. Long has the most assists of any Maryland midfielder in program history. Played attack in high school along with midfield. Now Maltz has his man hung up. Nunes comes out of the cage. Left the cage open, able to recover, makes the save. Zinn's got it. Ten saves for Nunes. That was a dangerous gambit.
You look at Virginia offensively. Where are the matchups? Well, the 2 midfielders jumping on the field right now. McConvey, 12. Schutz, 26. One of them will most likely have a short stick. There's an opportunity for both of those players to make a run. And right now, McConvey has the short stick. And this is a bona fide superstar midfielder who had 61 goals a season ago.
Schellenberger again with Zappatello matching feet. Look at the defense.
It's a great check. He's never had a position in niche. 36 in red is some defender.
Out of Portland, Oregon, Garno with a rocket off the crossbar. On the rebound, Dixon shot no good. Schellenberger has the backup, 10 seconds to go in the third. Virginia's got to go quickly. Schellenberger over to McConvey, toward the cage. McConvey diving, doesn't count. Flag down. Officials confer. They're still talking, no signal. The goal is good.
Who was the guy set at the matchup?
Thomas McConvey.
12 in white. He's a superstar. And sometimes he's the 4th or 5th option for Virginia, but he's so slick and gets underneath and goes airborne. That is a beautiful dodge in recognition of your body and the defensive pressure.
Thomas McConvey with his 4th hat trick as a Cavalier. His Vermont career ended with a first-round loss to Maryland in 2022. In 2021, Maryland beat Vermont in the first round as well. So he's got a little something to play for today. Seeing red in more ways than one. 3 seconds to go. Another thriller here between Maryland and Virginia. We go to the 4th quarter at Klockner. Terps looking for their biggest win of the season. Looking to make a statement that the king stays the king. Virginia, the #1 team in the country. On the ropes, really for the first time this season.
It's been an incredible contest. You punch, I punch back. The freshman, Braden Urksa. Punt return dodge by Evan Zinn. The Terps aren't going away. The defending national champs up 1 on the road.
In the 90s, you had Princeton and Syracuse. The road to the championship went through those two. In the 80s, it was the trio of Hopkins, North Carolina, Syracuse, Cornell, and Hopkins in the 70s. Well, now the road to a championship goes through College Park, Charlottesville, or both. They've combined for 4 of the last 5 titles, the last 3. These are the 2 premier programs in the country, and it's a 1-goal game heading into the 4th quarter in front of what is almost a sellout crowd here at Klockner Stadium.
Place is rocking. Sun splash Saturday. And what I would call the best place to watch a college lacrosse game. It just feels different here down in Charlottesville. And this is the matchup we talked about in the beginning of the game that's going to dictate the outcome. LaSalle and Weirman.
Bauer wins the faceoff. Now Nunes will set up the clear. Virginia trailing entering the 4th quarter for the first time this season. Maryland wanted to make this a 12-round fight. They have. Connor McConvey, who's got a hat trick and shuts the midfielders. McConvey on the shorty. Schellenberger, skip pass, Dixon shot, turned away by Rupel. The freshman has lived up to the moment today.
He's got 10 saves. Matt Nunes has 10 saves. But I think Rupel has had to work harder for his 10. I think he's outplayed Nunes.
He has. Logan McNaney, the MOP of last year's NCAA tournament, out for the year. Rupel has started now 4 straight games. Teddy Dolan got the first start with McNaney out. Makar took a shot on the empty goal. Virginia's not going to change. They're going to be aggressive. They'll still ride. Brennan against Connor.
Connor is a pure 2-way midfielder.
Maltz behind the cage. 40 goals 2 seasons ago. Nunes comes out to meet him. Long, back to Maltz. Nunes back into the crease. Here's Chorus. He had 2 goals in the 3rd quarter when Maryland took the lead. A hat trick for Chorus, and it quiets the Klockner chorus.
He's showing you 2 hands too, 22 in red. Playing the best game of his season when his team needs it. In the second half, he feels the pressure of the front side defense right there. He sees the slide also. Cade Sawstead is coming to help. Chorus rolls away and uses his left hand and gets Nunes guessing once again. You're seeing Nunes a lot of times, even on the goals. He's flopping down. He's out of position. Where you're seeing Rupel, who pauses and he's patient and he sits on a shot.
Chorus, a former top 20 recruit. He and 2 brothers compete at Maryland. Has a brother on the lacrosse team, Charlie, brother Will on the men's golf team.
But it was the awareness of understanding where that defensive pressure was.
Kolar, bouncer and a score! It's the Terrapin train in the second half.
They travel from College Park. They love their Terps, the defending national champs. And 2 things I think Virginia has done really well throughout the course of the season was their off-ball defense and striking in transition. But Maryland actually has been the team that has struck in transition more, and it's countering Virginia's inability really to play team defense. So kudos to Maryland for making the adjustments, striking in transition, but also with the assisted goals and the awareness to spread the rock.
The last 2 games with Virginia, Towson and Johns Hopkins, we saw the opponent get some opportunities and cash in, unsettled in transition, using Virginia's aggressiveness against the Cavaliers. It's the old adage in basketball. What do you do to a team that presses? You press them back.
You do, but what you're not seeing from Virginia is the press from them, right? Like, they're not pushing the ball outside of the Zinn goal.
Well, they've tried to. Sometimes it's gotten sloppy. Turnovers have been an issue today, 14 of them.
And credit the way that they're subbing for Maryland, and they're playing that transition defense.
Maryland has also taken away Schellenberger and Dixon. Jeff Connor shot blocked by Makar. Schellenberger has been almost a non-factor, and we don't say that often. He'll try here, the bouncer, and again, the defense by Zappatello has been sublime. He shut out Connor Schellenberger in the quarters last year. He's held him to 1 assist today.
And you know what Jesse Bernhardt and John Tillman, Bernhardt, the defensive coordinator, are saying to...
There's Dixon, found an opening, and Connor found the Slim Reaper.
The Slim Reaper, Xander Dixon, hits the back of the net. And I mentioned earlier, when Jeff Connor was stuck on defense, he's a pure two-way midfielder. I think he's the most underrated, multifaceted midfielder in the nation, with the eyes and the streaking, far pipe cutting ability of Xander Dixon. That is a Xander Dixon goal.
You said, how do you shoot 60%, right? That's how you shoot 60%. Let's take a look at our player spotlight, brought to you by New York Life, Greenwich, Connecticut native. Top 10 attackman in the 2018 class. Had a breakout season last year. He's continued it this year. At one point, he was thought of as a potential ex-attackman, a guy who can initiate. He's really found his role as an off-ball guy.
I watched him in high school. No way I would have thought that he would be an inside guy. He was a point guard, a quarterback, behind the cage, a lot like Schellenberger. But what I was saying earlier, too, Anish, credit Jesse Bernhardt, the defensive coordinator, and John Tillman. With the way they're playing Schellenberger, they're saying to Ajax Zappatello, we are not going to support you in this matchup. We're going to play Schellenberger one-on-one. We're not going to slide from him. So that helps the team defense in terms of the way that they play the paint.
La Sala stays on, which means Weirman stays on. Now Petey will run off. Schellenberger snakes around the cage. No angle. Zappatello turned, gave Schellenberger a look.
Do you see, though? There's no help there. That is a one-on-one on an island matchup.
Did he need the help?
No. But that changes when you know you don't have to slide. Then you could protect the inside and the paint a lot more, and that's where Virginia's better than anyone offensively. He's jamming it inside, and Maryland now could defend that with a little more heightened awareness.
This Maryland team, remember, not long ago, they led Notre Dame in the final 4 minutes. The Irish, the #2 team in the country. For as much as this Maryland offense is a work in progress, for the injuries to Eric Molliver, to Logan McNaney, outside of that Loyola game, which looks more and more like an aberration and an outlier, this Terps team looks poised to make another deep run in May.
You know what's crazy? Look at the midfield. You have Spanos, a redshirt freshman, Whittier, a redshirt freshman, Murphy, eligibility, a sophomore. So you have all the new pieces. These aren't just new pieces who are waiting 2-3 years to get their run. These are young guys. Like, this program's going to be scary for a long time.
Hasn't it?
Yes. John Tillman is, you know, you throw that word around elite a lot. He's an elite coach.
Here's Connor over to Cormier.
An elite recruiter, too, because a lot of these guys are under the radar.
Now look at Urksa out of Marietta, Georgia. Was not even a top 100 guy. Shuts, shot blocked. Sea of red. Man down at Zappatello. It looks like Zappatello got hit. You hope he's okay.
Another one. Last year he was an all. The way they coach, the way they find the angles on how to develop a player. It's big time.
Zappatello able to get to the sideline. And they're checking out that right side as we speak. Now the ride by Virginia. Maryland's got to get the ball over before the clock hits 60. They do. And that essentially goes as a turnover. Hang on, there's a flag now.
Penalty marker on the field.
Evan Zinn was offsides, and that gives Maryland now a 30-second man-up opportunity. And Zappatello, meanwhile, walks back out on the defensive side. That's a good news for the Terps. When you have a name like Ajax, if you're a purveyor of Greek mythology in the Iliad, Ajax was the second mightiest hero behind only the great Achilles.
Wow. It's a great name. Guess whose middle name is Achilles?
You're your son Grayson.
Yeah, Grayson Achilles. Ajax's brother Hopper plays for Dartmouth. They're on our air tomorrow.
That's right.
Against North Carolina. Freshman attacker for the Big Green.
Undefeated Dartmouth and UNC. Here's Chorus. He's got a hat trick today. Now Kelly. Urksa fires a low bouncer. These Maryland players, they love that bounce shot, and it's worked a lot today.
That was part of the scout, you could tell. Pre-game, as you mentioned.
Chorus, his pass knocked down. We're back to even strength. Chorus against Soliday. Long goes to work on McNeil, who falls down. Long sneaks and is turned away by Nunes.
Nunes needed that one, I think, from a confidence perspective, too, because I thought Kyle Long did a nice job of continuing upfield. I thought maybe he should have shot low there.
McConvey thunders. His shot too high, might have been altered. Now Schellenberger. With Zappatello taking that shot to the rib, do you try to go at him here with Schellenberger?
I like this matchup with Jeff Connor, too, because he's got a short stick, and he's so good behind in the invert, taking a defensive midfielder out of his element. And Connor can pass as well.
Connor against Red. Schellenberger looking for McConvey. Schutz goes back to pick it up. Still plenty of time to shoot. Now Schutz has the short stick Kolar. He'll isolate Kolar.
First time Virginia's been on the ropes late in the game.
They'll clear out for Schutz. Driving toward the cage. Over to Connor. He thought about it. It comes back to Schutz. Shot clock now down to 10. Zappatello again defending Schellenberger. Schellenberger. It's knocked loose, and it's going to be a hold on Maryland. Wow, I don't know.
I thought Ajax got underneath him there with a clean lift check.
It's a new 60. Red
What about the slide
was all
by
over
Zappatello?
Schutz, and there's Zappatello with the help.
He's playing.
He's been the best player
right
today.
now.
He's been the best player on the field. He had the hardest assignment, and this is now not a fluke. 2 games in a row, he's had Connor Schellenberger's number. Rupel with a shot on goal. It'll stay with Maryland. That was savvy by Maltz.
Yes, it's closest to the ball when it goes out of bounds, not the end line, and he knows to just shuffle a few yards, right, Anish?
Virginia with the 10-man ride. Maryland, you get the sense they're going to get one of these empty net looks. They've shot at the empty net 5 times during a 10-man ride. 0 for 5. Brennan on a bounce to Chorus. Loose ball, big ground ball. Maryland's got it. Kelly working on Bauer. Shot clock did not reset. It's down inside 15. Maltz to Urksa. Feeding Murphy. Ball on the ground. Maltz picks it up. Feeds inside. Kelly denied.
I thought Kelly had that opportunity right away when he caught it and he went underneath. I think he took an extra cradle or two. Defense for Virginia, they're so long to begin with, and their ability to trail check is something that they're known for. Inside, you catch that ball, it's got to be a cradle and a finish. Ricky's back on the field, and you and I during the break, we felt like this had to happen.
Liaison, he's a matchup problem. He's got a short stick. Skip pass, McConvey swims past his defender and comes out of his stick. Oh, the Maryland poles creating havoc. Transition opportunity for the Terps. 16 turnovers now by Virginia. Maryland has caused 10. Well, we come up on 5 minutes to play. The Terps in this fourth quarter, they've played clean, 0 turnovers.
John Tillman teams never shoot themselves in the foot.
Whittier out of the box, fresh legs. He's got Connor. Whittier forced to retreat. Here comes Sawstead. Chases him back out in the restraining area. Big ground ball. Whittier escapes with it. Still plenty of time to shoot. Urksa, saved by Nunes. When you see 11 in white, 39 in white, 22 in white charging at you, it's just a different kind of feel.
Yes, the length. But Cade Sawstead's a fifth-year senior. His freshman year, he guarded Jackson Morrill in the national championship and did a remarkable job. This is a seasoned defender who's back, he's healthy.
He was the best defender at the end of that 19 season as a true freshman.
Thought he was terrific earlier in the season against Jack Myers from Ohio State.
Schellenberger over to Schutz, and it's a one-goal game.
Virginia's on the ropes. You gotta make a stop. You gotta erase the memory of the past Maryland explosive offense if you're Matt Nunes. Come up with a stop. Get your team in the mix. Then your quarterback, your Mr. Everything, Connor Schellenberger, distributes to the rock, to the big Griffin Schutz. We got a dandy down in Charlottesville.
From Progressive.
And what's new, Maryland, Virginia coming down to the wire like it did in the 2021 final, the 2019 quarterfinal. 3:41 to go, one-goal game. This has been as advertised. What does the end game come down to?
You know, I think coming into this game, everyone thought about Virginia and their offense scoring 20 goals a game, but Ajax Zapatello, Brett Makar, and this Maryland defense have had the answer in terms of shutting this Virginia offense down. I think for Virginia, in this fourth quarter, it's going to be the midfield that can get them back in this game, tie it. Guys like Griffin Schutz, Thomas McConvey, and I'd like to see Ricky Liaison. I think there's matchup problems with those monsters. They roll out big, big dudes. And for Maryland to hold on, it's got to be more of the defense, the freshman Rupel. And if they get into a tie game here, I think assisted goals for Maryland. They've been able to feed the inside against this Virginia defense.
Here's Gephardt. He'll unleash. Save. Nunes. It's got some English on it. It will stay with Maryland. Kelly closest to it despite the efforts of UVA and Soliday. 15 saves now for Nunes. This game mirrors his season. There have been some ups, there have been some downs. He's been strong these last few minutes.
The fourth quarter against Hopkins 2 weeks ago, I thought he was fantastic after a slow start, so credit him for erasing the first 3 quarters.
Urksa against Sawstead, gives it up. Now Chorus, a hat trick today on the sophomore Chismar. Nunes never saw it. Chorus with his 4th. A career game for the junior. And a 2-goal lead for Maryland with less than 3 minutes to play.
He's been awesome. And what I love about this goal, let's think back to when Kyle Long had a similar spot on Nunes. He shot high. This time Chorus knows he's got the matchup. There's no slide on the short stick. So how's he gonna sneak it by? Nunes stays high, and Kyle Long shot high. This time Chorus, though, as Nunes stays high, where does he shoot, Anish?
Goes low.
He goes low. The awareness around goal line extended to have your stick high and then to shoot low. Terrific by Chorus.
Big face-off battle. Now the wings get involved. Bauer out of the clouded wrath. Matsui gets over before that clock hits 60. You've got to get it over in the first 20 seconds. We come up on 2 minutes to play. McConvey has a short stick matchup. Where does the help come? Cross-field pass. It's Schellenberger off the feet from McConvey. He was anticipating the slide. When he saw the help, he left the wrong guy open.
McConvey's a money man. Schellenberger, part of the last 2 goals. It was the assist to Schutz this time. He's the recipient of a beautiful pass by Thomas McConvey. He's one of the elite midfielders in college lacrosse. You've seen him diving through the air as a goal scorer. This time, the backside pass. Look at the eyes right there, all on McConvey. 3 shirts. But like you said, Anish, they left the wrong one open.
Face-offs have almost been even. 14 for Virginia, 13 for Maryland. Weirman shuffles it to Zinn. Virginia with the ball and a chance to tie.
Late in games, Petey is always clutch.
Virginia led 6-4 at the half. Maryland took the lead going into the 4th. Here's Connor working on Nick Red. Now McConvey, left hand free, and McConvey ties it at 13.
McConvey was coached by Peyton Cormier's father, Chris, for many years when they grew up outside of Toronto. He told me last night, he said, watch Thomas McConvey when the game is on the line. He's a different kind of finisher. Once the big moment, first it's the pass by McConvey, and this dagger of a shot on the run, top shelf on the freshman Rupel. We're tied.
It's Maryland's first game at Klockner since 2013, and now since Maryland left the ACC, certainly this rivalry has heated up the last few years. You go back to 2009, they played 7 overtimes on this field. Brian Carroll, the eventual game winner. Weirman all the way, this time he scores! Hold on, they wave it off. They wave it off. Maryland called a timeout. Shades of 2009, the phantom timeout. I'm not sure if this was phantom or not. Wow.
Wow is right. Opportunity to close.
Alex Rowe to the chest. If it 2021, Weirman punched it ahead. The final face-off of the championship. His shot hit Alex Rowe to the chest. If it went in, we would have gone to overtime. He scores the goal, but the official from the backside waves it off. Maryland had called a timeout, and the second layer to it is that 2009 7 overtime game. There was a moment in that game where they thought a timeout had come from the Maryland sideline. Dave Connell never called one, but they said he did. The phantom timeout, and took away Maryland goal and a Maryland win in that game.
I was watching that classic 7 overtimes. Brian Carroll with the big shot to win it for Virginia. But you can't fault John Tillman for calling a timeout. When your face-off guy has the ball, you have a timeout. It might be your last opportunity. He's under some distress too, right? Like he's being challenged in attack there. But Weirman just shows you so much fight, right? Because this is a guy who's been through a lot. When you have that opportunity in a national championship game to tie it in the last seconds, and the goalie makes the save, that lives with you forever. So now, like, that's your redemption. And you score, but the coach calls a timeout.
Another chapter, another verse in this Maryland-Virginia rivalry. I tell you what, it's freezing cold up here. It's the middle of March. In the middle of all the madness, doesn't this feel like we're playing in late May?
This is amazing. This is a game. I don't want to tell you this, partner. This is a game I don't want to end. I wish you missed your flight. I know you have a flight. I'm not getting out. I want to watch lacrosse all day. And look who they're giving the ball to. Jack Corus, who has 4 goals. And for me, coming into this game, I was asking myself, outside of Kyle Long, who's winning matchups for this team? It's with Jack Corus.
Biggest crowd at Klockner today in a decade. Largest crowd of the Lars Tiffany era. Maryland can hold for one final shot, but how do you want to play this? You want to give yourself more than one opportunity, don't you?
I love striking around 20 to 15 with backup, so you have a real second opportunity, not a second opportunity with 4 seconds left. Out of desperation, a real play can develop off of that first one if you shoot around 20 or 15.
We're down to 10. They may only get 1. Here comes Long. He's got the short sticks in. Long toward the cage, flips it back, pass deflected, 2 seconds, 1 second, overtime at Klockner. Here we go.
Here we go is right. It's the perfect stage. These two teams have combined for 4 of the last 5 national championships. They've been the standard in the sport. What other way would you want to finish?
We will take a minute to catch our breaths. Exhale. One more look at that last face-off. Oh, what could have been. Luke Weirman wins the draw. Shades of 2021. It goes in, but hang on, a timeout is called. So we play on in Charlottesville.
What's he?
Be too safe.
Crowd coming to its feet. Yeah, they're cheering for their team. But you have to love what you saw today. Largest crowd Virginia's had since 2013. Maryland outscored Virginia 9-7 in the second half. 4 ties, 2 lead changes. This game has been built up.
Monster face-off to use Weirman. LaSalla's up 15-14 on the face-off. It's got a little bit of everything this game, Anish.
Petey LaSalla has 33 career goals as a face-off man. This turns into a muck. LaSalla and Weirman both trying to dig it out. It's Kohler instead. And does Maryland call a timeout? They'll play. Now they call a timeout. 3:45 to go in overtime. Corus has 4 goals today. We've seen Urksa have some success when he's been given space. Who do you look?
Philosophy. It's been lacking some Dodgers. But then he shows you the spin and left-handed rip from outside, and then inverting from behind. So all 4 of his goals, it's giving you a little bit of everything. A taste of offense. In Maryland, sometimes that ball watches, right? And he's been able to find those seams with his passing too. So I think Long is a guy you could start the ball with, and then if Corus has that short stick matchup, you give it to the hot hand.
And what version of Matthew Nunes is present in overtime? He's made some really nice saves today. He's also let a few go through that in the past we've seen him stop. At his best, he is an upper echelon goalie in college lacrosse.
So Chorus has the short stick in Zinn, and they're going to run a pick game.
This is Brennan over to Kyle Long. Has it knocked loose on the carpet. Here come the Virginia Poles. Matsui shovels it ahead. Comes to Zappatello. Schellenberger rides him. Zappatello falls down. Loose ball near midfield. Carnage. Matsui out of the melee. Now it's Schellenberger. And we got a loose ball push on Maryland. It'll be Virginia ball. Quick restart. Schellenberger to Zinn. Launches. Save Rupel. The freshman. It comes back to McConvey. Here's a chance. Another save by Rupel. Zinn on the rebound. No! Maryland to the back to McConvey. It'll be Virginia ball. Quick restart. Schellenberger to Zinn. Launches. Save Rupel. The freshman. It comes back to McConvey. Here's a chance. Another save by Rupel. Zinn on the rebound. No! Maryland the other way. End to end. Kelly just missed the cage with the low angle.
The freshman Rupel made two incredible stops in front of this crowd on the road. Wow.
Virginia had it set up, unsettled, chaotic. Zinn had a great look. McConvey had a great look.
They had great looks and great shots, but even better saves.
Rupel, the freshman, fearless in crunch time.
He goes low for that Zinn save, and then McConvey, who has ice in his veins, goes for that far low pipe. Rupel unconscious.
Give it up to the freshman. 14 saves in his McNaney tours. I'm sure you know.
From McConvey, and Virginia has made him work for each and every one. That is an elite stop. Overhand lefty release from McConvey, and then the follow-up by Zinn. He made 3 saves in that flurry. You're a freshman on the road against the #1 team in the nation. Averaging 20 goals a game, you're supposed to be nervous. The stage is supposed to be too big for you. Not for 19 in red.
He looked like Spider-Man.
Nuts. That last save. Real time, we really didn't get to recognize it and enjoy it in that flurry.
Slow it down.
That last save was nuts.
Put it on the TikTok. 14 saves for Rupel. Virginia called a timeout. Maryland has another chance to win it. Brennan goes to work on Soliday. Down the alley, steers behind the cage. Working a 2-man game with Urksa. Brennan bodies up his man, plays it back up top. Chorus, who's got the 4 goals. Best game of his career. Urksa now. Over to the wing. Kelly shoots and wins it for the Terps. Another chapter, another thriller between Maryland and Virginia. And the #1 team in the country facing defeat for the first time this season. And the Terps today on the road at Klockner. Sold out crowd. Biggest crowd here in 10 years. They made a statement. Oh, you're down on us. Lost to Loyola, lost to Notre Dame, lost 5 of your top 6. The defending champs make a statement.
Virginia made the late run and the flurry in overtime. But there was a freshman that went total Spider-Man on the Cavaliers offense with 3 saves, and then the bullet by Kelly, who's waited his turn behind the Tewaaraton Trophy winner, Logan Wisnauskas. He was the backup to Wisnauskas, the hired lefty gun. Well, he shows you he can stretch a defense and he can ice a game.
Daniel Kelly wins it. The Terps, a win, an exhilarating shootout over #1 Virginia. There's going to be a new #1 in the country when the polls come out. We'll see how far Maryland moves up. How far does Virginia drop? Notre Dame probably bumps up to #1. But another epic chapter in this rivalry between Maryland and Virginia. Thank you for watching. We enjoyed it. A thriller at Klockner. Great crowd, great Saturday. Maryland, the 1-goal winner in overtime. That does it for us. For Paul Carcaterra and our entire crew, I'm Anish Shroff. Baseball is next.